What is that thing?
It lets
My eyes
me.
are drawn
It
to
lets,
it.
it lets me avoid the scrum. See, I can back up. Just don't move because like
Okay.
Bradley Dale, he jumped way over here.
I'll back up here.
What was the scrimmage like?
Scrimmage was good. We got probably 75 to 80 snaps. I think the ones got around between 30 and 40, somewhere in there. So I was pleased. We got out, I believe, we just had one concussion and no major injury. So I was pleased with that. So, I mean, there's always some things we could get fixed from the scrimmages. We went in the stadium, tried to get on the sideline, operate like a game, headsets, coaches in the box. So some things we got to get cleaned up just from a game day, but we'll have another kind of a mock game on Saturday to polish all that stuff.
I saw where Van was back out there. As of right now, who's out for the opener?
I think possibly Dawson Knox. Right now we're evaluating his foot. He could potentially be out as far as injury, but and then I think that's it. As far as guys, I think we've had a couple of a knee injury. G-Mac will be out for a couple of weeks, but I think you already knew that one. But Dawson Knox, we're still evaluating his foot, so he'll be questionable for sure.
What kind of word have y'all gotten on? Any kind of word on his foot?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's kind of day to day. He's just struggling to push off of it right now. So we're just trying to get him where see if we can manage it. We're trying to keep him off it, non-weight bearing right now for as long as we can, and just see how he can do. The game week, and we may have to sit him. But we'll find out the week of the game if he can go or not.
When do you turn the page to South Alabama completely? Where are you in terms of that transition?
Well, we started today.
Okay.
So we started today. We had some South Alabama looks and starting to prepare for some of their looks. Still a little bit more speed of the game, going good on good today for us because I think that's important to keep sharp and keep speed of the game. But the closer we get to the game, the more and more we'll start transitioning into that.
Like Breland was back at first team with the defensive line. What do you see in that rotation there? I guess with he and Benito and Josiah.
Yeah, no, it's good. Unfortunate with Benito's injury. But what happened is when somebody gets hurt, other people got to step in and get more reps, and they get better. So I think that was good for Josiah and Breland and all those guys. I think they moved Charles Wiley inside some today, and I think just to give us some more depth. But no, I think it's been good. I think that rotation is good. You got to play a bunch of D linemen fresh with the the amount of plays people run nowadays. So I think it's important that they sub in and out and stay fresh.
What makes Charles available to make that move inside?
Well, I just think I think Coach Jackson and him getting bigger and stronger and developing, and then partly the way Victor and Kadir have been playing, so you feel like you got a pretty good rotation in there, so you can move, you move Charles inside. So I think, and Winters has had a good camp too. So when you have good players, you just try to find a way to get good players on the field. So I think that's what they're looking for is just the right combination of depth.
You obviously feel good about your defensive line depth. At linebacker, safety, those are some areas of concern going into camp. How well do you feel like those have been addressed?
Good. I think they moved Jalen Jones from corner to safety. I think that move really helped us. And at linebacker, I know they've been really impressed with Dante. He's had a really, really solid, steady camp. So I've been very pleased with him. Gates had his best scrimmage Saturday, so I'm pleased with him. Street's kind of pushing him. I think Hibbler has been good, so I'm pleased with the way it's coming. There's some competition there. Whenever there's competition, it pushes each other to get better. And I think by Street showing up, really push Gates to be better, and I'm really happy with that.
Will Jalen stay at safety?
It looks that way now. He looked very comfortable there in the scrimmage, the way he was communicating, and he kind of took to it naturally. And so I think you will probably see him stay there.
Is Ken still repping at safety at all?
He's back. He's working a corner.
What do you want to see done better from that safety spot next to Zedrick?
I think just communication. I think those guys are the quarterbacks of the defense, and they got to do a good job of communicating, making sure that everybody's on the same page, and getting the coverages right. Because if they get yards, we want to make them earn it. We don't want to give them anything. So I think just the communication standpoint, adjusting the motions, adjusting to unbalanced formations. They're the quarterbacks of the defense, so they got to do a good job of that.
How did you guys run the ball in this scrimmage with the defense? I guess not vanilla as much.
No, it was fine. They were efficient in the run game. Again, Coach Longo has been pleased with the run game has been for the last two scrimmages, and they were efficient. So, and again, in the RPO offense, there are some times in the run game you got a chance to hand it off, but you end up throwing a pass, and I think on a couple of those we scored touchdowns on an RPO in the red zone, and the run was there. So, but you got to take that. That's who we are and what we do. So you got to live with that. So
Something that might not get as much work in the fall is the return game. Where are you guys at there, and who are some of the guys standing out there?
good. I've been impressed with Dede Bowie, true freshman. He's back there in the return game some. Jalen Jones hit one, returned one in the scrimmage for a touchdown, and we had a live. We did a little bit more full speed live in the kicking game this past Saturday, so that was good. So we actually scrimmaged the kicking game some, and Jalen broke one. So really pleased with Dede and Jalen so far. AJ's been solid catching the punts, so far. So.
Saw Benito was out of some of the contact periods today, just kind of easing him back in.
Yeah, so he was in there. I think he went one-on-one pass rush. I'm not sure, but I know he was back there doing endo, and he was back in pass today, moving around. I think just developing his confidence and just working him back in there. I think he's going to be fine. He just got to get that confidence back and move back.
Was Dietrich out there today?
Bing
Big
Dukes?
Dukes,
I think so.
Okay, I just didn't see him. I wasn't sure.
Heard a couple overhearing praise for Gabe Angel from coaches. Has he stepped up at all? Or
He had a really good start to camp, and then he ripped his fingernail off his finger, and they had to tape it up, and so he missed a little time. But he really was playing good. He really was. He's mixing it up in the run game more, and then he showed up in the pass game on a couple of big plays in the first 3 or 4 days of camp before he hurt his finger. So he really was coming on, and as he gets back to full strength, we'll expect him to help some. Again, along with Jason Peller.
How is Eric Swinney now? Just health, where he is in camp? I mean,
Good. He's coming off a concussion, so he's just working back in today. I think he was out the last couple of days with a concussion, but as was back in there today. And he looks good to me. He's probably not quite back to 100% yet, but I think he's working toward that. I think it's better than he was certainly at the start of camp. So I think that physical presence when he was running the ball like he was before he got hurt in that spring. I think. But I think he's been given solid depth, and he shows flashes. You just want him to be that guy that, you just want him to get it back to 100%. And I think he's working back toward that.
You've seen 3 weeks worth of practice with the true freshman. Now you've seen more of their body of work. And what have any stood out to you?
I think, I think Dede is a player. I think he's really good. I think Ryder Anderson is a guy that's going to play a role as a freshman. He's a big, long defensive end that's going to continue to grow and get better. So I think he's a guy that will play as a freshman. Ben Brown on the offensive line, will have a chance to potentially give us some depth. So those are the guys in my mind that stand out right now.
And with Jason, and just his versatility, last year he was playing quarterback, this spring he's playing slot receiver, now
Right.
he's playing tight end, just what makes him so versatile.
I mean, he's just a good athlete. He's kind of that hybrid type body. He's 230 pounds. He can run. He can catch. It's just going from quarterback to mixing it up in the box. That's something that you got to get used to, and he is getting better at it. Because I think he'll be fine outside. That's not the biggest transition for him because he plays slot receiver and he played quarterback. He kind of understands that role. But for him to really be effective for us, we need him to be physical in the box and be able to block power and ISO and do some things in the box, and that's really what he's been focused on.
Did that part of his game become even more important after Dawson's injury?
I think absolutely it does. He has to, because again, you could always be in 10 personnel, but you want to be have a tight end in the game where you could do both, and you need a guy that can do both. And I think that's what makes you unpredictable if you have a guy out there that can do both.
otherwise you're telegraphing.
That's correct. So I mean, you just put 10, 4 wide receivers out there if you knew that you were going to do that. So I think it's important. That's why even with Evan last year, still use him in the run game so you can be versatile.
What's Kadir dealing with?
Kadir's just got a little knee injury, but he's going to be fine. Just a little precautionary.
When do you expect him to be back?
I'm hoping tomorrow. Yeah, but I think he's going to be back pretty soon. I think it's more precautionary than anything. They just didn't want him to push as we get closer to game week. I think they were very impressed with him and where he was at. They're just being precautionary, but he'll be back out there.
Jordan Sims, it's an ankle? Or?
It is. He's an ankle. We thought about going today. He just struggled to push off a little bit. Jordan is a guy that's got a lot of experience, and we feel comfortable where he is knowledge-wise. There will be a little bit from a conditioning standpoint with him just because he's missed probably 10 days now with an ankle injury. But you feel comfortable with him and Durante right there that he's had enough experience that when he comes back, he'll be ready to go.
What kind of offensive lineman do you feel like you'll play against South Alabama?
I'm hoping 9 is what I hope. 10 would be great, but I'm hoping 9.
What kind of camps Durante had? 'Cause I know
Good.
they've been
He's had a good camp. We're just really working on consistency with Durante. So he shows flashes really of being really, really good all the time. Just want to see him be consistent play after play.
We've seen Alex Gibbons, working at guard. Did you guys give any thought to maybe putting Rod back over there since he played that?
Rod is a really good athlete out there on the edge. I just don't want to give him a whole bunch to think about because Rod is playing right tackle and left tackle, and so. But Alex is a big physical guy, and he can match up in there inside at guard, and he gives us a presence in there and size.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, thank you guys.